Welcome to our week number 2, Introduction to Drawing. We are going to start with an exercise about Betty Edward and the working of the right side of our brain. For that, we are going to scratch a piece of paper and as a way of warming up, and then we are going to try to put the paper aside and yes, look at the paper and with a pencil, probably we are going to use the number 8 B or whatever pencil you want to use, and just try to see the lines of this piece of paper. Okay. The thing is that you don't have to see what you are drawing. You just have to see this piece of paper that is on your table, the table that you are working on, but don't see the paper that you are drawing. So that way is the theory is that your intuitive part of your brain is going to be working, not the rational part. The rational part of the brain is the left. Okay, the more intuitive and where the feelings are is in the right one. So just keep doing this. This is going to, I think, is going to open our minds for the rest of the class, and also is going to warm me up in the sense of getting again familiar with the pencil, with the paper, and putting, opening a set of mind uh, uh, to these 2 hours that we are going to be working. Don't worry about the results. The result doesn't really count. It's the exercise itself what is going to be interesting. Okay, and see what we have at the end of the class. At the end of this exercise, we are going to show each other what we have. We can also shade a little bit if you want. In this case, I have the light coming from the right side, so we can try to see if we can shape a little bit if you have enough shadows. Um, Even just crossing lines is going to be okay. As I said, this is not about shading. It's about just opening our brain for a new way of drawing. Once we finish with that, this is going to be our project for today. We are going to be using a variety of pencils. We are going to be starting probably drawing with a 2 H and then going with 8 B. And see, this is how we are going to go one by one, uh, learning how to build, okay, these figures. Some of them are going to be complement one of the other, and some of them are going to be like inside one of the other. It is not too complicated. It's just about a building. Okay, so we are going to start with the sphere. In this sphere, we have different levels of gray. We already worked on that last week. So we have already been using, the different pencils, some for the more light or very, very dark parts of the sphere that we are going to shade. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different kind of gray that we are going to use. Starting with, we are going to use the 2B and the HB. If you don't have those in front of you, don't worry. You can use whatever you have in front of you. Just we need mostly we need for this class we need 2. We need one that is very black and another one that is more or less gray. We're going to start and then with the shapes of the sphere. So we go back to this figure that we have in front of us, and we are going to draw this. Okay, we have our piece of paper, and we are going to start drawing this sphere. I'm gonna go and cover this, so this is our model, and we're going to start working on this. And we're going to start with a 2b. We can also use the 2h if we have, or hb, whatever is a little kind of hard. Use your hand, okay, as a tool for creating this circle. Okay, so, and don't worry about doing the perfect circle. Finally, you're going to get to something that is very close. The only thing that you have to do is not to put a lot of pressure. Remember, you are using a pencil now that is hard, okay, so it's not too dark, and you don't need to put a lot of pressure, so you can erase, okay, all these, if not mistake, of these little lines that you made when you were like sketching, and that you don't need. Then we are then working on this, erasing those parts, and we are going to start shading. So, and for the shading part, okay, so we have to see that we don't have a lot of light. The light is concentrated here in an area, okay. So in order for us not to be confused, I am using the same pencil that I was drawing. If I have even something that is harder, it will be okay. And I am going to start more than shading. What is limiting the area where I am going to shade later. So I'm gonna start shading. I'm gonna start doing this coloring with gray, with black. And for that, in order not to be confused, I am doing what I am doing right now. Okay. So now what we are going to do is that we are going to change pencil. So now I am going to go for something that is darker for sure. And as I said before, I'm gonna just work with the HB. We are going to use, at the end of this class, we are going to use all of them, but we are going to start with this one that you are already familiar with. Okay, so in a way that like doing like kind of circles, you know, little small circles, you are going to start shading. So start doing this. Try not to go very hard. Just with the weight of the pencil is going to be okay. You really don't need more. See that you are not going to create dark, okay, by pushing the pencil. You're going to create dark by going on the same place, on the same spot, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times. That is the way it works. Okay, so just be patient. See how the first layer, okay, of gray is already showing up. Be very soft, very soft and very delicate on this. So that way you are not going to be doing any mistake. And you have already the problem resolved in the photograph. It's not that you are working from the natural. Okay, so somebody else, I took this picture from the internet, so somebody else already resolved. So we have now a second layer of gray, okay, which is going to be a little more darker. We go over that again, very gentle. We don't need lines here. You move the pencil in a circular way and trying to just create the dark, getting the dark from going over and over, so on the same spot. Very good. Very, very, very good. We go again one more time. Take your time, be gentle. We are not in a rush. Now you see that you have another layer of even darker part, and that is on the lower part of the sphere of this kind of balloon that we are drawing. So you take advantage and also fix some of the lines that may not be very defined in our first sketch, and you go over again. See that we have this kind of like semicircle in the lower part, and that is what we are replicating with dark. It requires patience. Okay, now we are going to anchor this piece of balloon or ball or sphere. And for that, we are going to work with 4B. So we don't need something as dark as the one that we were just working with. So we start with this 4B, which is a medium dark. Try to go a little softer than what I am going. Try not to recreate, not to do this kind of lines that I am doing. And when you change a pencil for one that is either softer or harder, at the very beginning, it's a good advice that I am not doing right now. You just take a piece of paper, not a paper that you are working with, until you get familiar again with the kind of pencil that you are just starting to work with. So you see, at the very beginning of this, my brain was still adjusting to how soft this pencil was. As I went on, more and more my shading is improving. Yeah. So we have this another layer of darker, and for doing that, we are going to go over only on those places that are closer to the sphere. So we go again, trying, as I say, trying not to create many lines, and always kind of doing little circles. Another layer, now closer to the sphere, even darker. So you see in this channel, okay, you have like 3 or 4 different kind of grays, different levels of grays. The one that is closer to the sphere is the one that is going to be darker. So that way also, because of the contrast, not only that you can anchor the piece, but uh, there is a difference between, you know, the base and the object itself. Okay, we are done with this. Good job. Now we are going to continue working with the rest of the shapes. So we have the sphere, we have the rectangle, the pyramid, etc. So we are going to go one by one. So we are going to start. How do we shape? And in easy way, how do we sketch, you know, a circle? Well, there's something that we already have done, but what I want to say is you have to move your hand, okay, accordingly with the kind of shape that we want to work. So this is a good practice that you have to try to do. Don't even worry about the kind of line that you are getting. It's about getting practice. And try to do what I'm doing in a way that is very kind of loose. Just try to shade. Huh? Exactly. This is what you have to do. Just try to shade and try to imitate. Even if you're not working with 8B or 7 or 6 or 9B, either pencil at this point is okay. The one that I am using is 8B, so it's a black one. Now, how to work, you know, with this cube, and the cube is kind of easy and it's very interesting. You can make a cube with a little of perspective. Later we are going to go to perspective. Just by doing this kind of a square, okay, so first a square, and then on the back you do another square, and then you just join, you know, these corners in the way that I am doing, and you have the square. Okay, so a square is going to work for us in many different ways, because the square is going to become a form that a shape that we are going to use to box objects inside. You're going to see it later. Okay, so I was missing that line. um, so how do we work now with a pyramid? How can we create a pyramid? Okay, so we join, okay, the cube and the pyramid all together. So we, you know, first we do our cube. Okay, so we have our cube, um, and then we are going to have our pyramid inside. You're going to see how this works. Okay, so we have our cube right now, and we cross line between these different corners. Okay, and from that center that we have created, we go and draw some lines to these corners. So we have a pyramid. Okay, so if we take our eraser, we are going to erase, those lines that doesn't work, and we have now our pyramid. Okay, for drawing, as I said, try to use, okay, for this is initial lines, try to use a pencil that is not too strong, that is not too black. The black pencil is for shading. So I'm using just one now for demonstration. So you can see, and you can, even if I erase the lines, you can see, a little of those lines that have created, and how I created, how I made this triangle. Super easy. So we keep shading a little bit, and now we go to another form. Okay, so we are going to do the cylinder, and by doing the cylinder, you also are going to be able to do, bottles, cups, glasses of wine, many different forms. Okay, so how are you going to do that? You do that exactly, these two rectangles, which is very similar to what we're doing with squares, and then we do these ellipses. By doing this, okay, up and down, we have already the cylinder. So it's super easy. And then again, we erase those lines that are not working for us right now, and we just have to shade. For the drawing part, as I said many times already, use a pencil that is hard, one of the H, and don't put a lot of pressure. So you are going to be able to erase those building lines, and then you're not going to notice them. Okay, so we shade that, and we keep working. Okay, very good. Now we go to our main project, these 4 elements. In these 4 elements, uh, we already practiced, so it's basically what we are going to do. But before going to those 4 elements, we go in a reverse. Okay, how we have done already how to create a pyramid inside a cube. Now we are going to see how to create, a pyramid outside a cube. Okay, so we go and we draw our cube first, and then as you see in the drawing that is on my left, right here, you just go and create and draw another kind of parallel lines, okay, on these 4 lines that we have on the lower part of our cube. So, and from there we are going to go. So just see what I'm doing. Okay, so you have these parallel lines, and you will do another parallel line, and then in the 2 sides exactly the same thing. And then we are going to have these lines, okay, this corner cross with the other. We are going to join this corner, the corner that is in the lower part, with the one of the cube, and then we just project to the upper part. So those lines are going to go together, and we will have this pyramid, okay, this 4-phase pyramid. So you can go from the inside, or you can go for the outside. Either way, it is going to work. Okay. for sure my lines are not very precise, but you can do, if you want, you can do this with a ruler, and that is going to help you totally with creating that. So one more time. So we have this square, okay, these two squares, and we have now this ellipse. We have now this ellipse back, and we go, okay, and we have this kind of like cup that we have this mug of coffee, whatever. So you see how easy it is just by doing all these. Okay, so how are we going to probably transform this in a glass of wine? So for sure my drawing is not perfect, but show you how to build, how to box elements. Okay, we go to our next project, the big one of tonight. We are going to use the HB for the drawing part, and then we are going to use other pencil for the shading. Okay, so we have to put these figures on the center of our paper. So this is something that you can do as I am doing, or I am doing this just for demonstration, but you have to have like a frame in your mind. Okay, so you this way you are going to more or less to make sure, okay, that all these figures, all these elements are going to be able to fit inside your piece of paper. So and then you see, okay, that the you cross in your mind an imaginary line on the upper part of these elements, and then on the lower part. Okay, so you have that, and you have the center. Okay, once you have the center, you see, okay, what is in the center of my picture, or what is in the center of my still alive, or what is in the center of these elements that I want to work, and you start, okay, drawing that element on the center of this. Okay, so we will start with these lines. Remember, our lines are kind of loose. Don't put a lot of pressure. And then we go to the next element that we already knew how to do. Okay, so try to make some relations, how the elements are, you know, the distance, the altitude, how high, how down they are. And so in order to put those elements more or less in the distance that you see, if you're gonna see, probably I'm gonna mix up some of the elements, but it is not the point. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be prosaic in any way, unless you're doing something that is kind of photograph, which is not the case. Here's a demonstration. Okay, so you see, you do your lines and make sure, try to make some connections between one object and the other, and I have done that, like drawing on the top of my my cube, and creating and putting in practice what we have done before. Okay, so I have already two elements, are very rough. We will go on the top of them, and we will erase and fix some of these loose lines. Now we are going to go to this fourth element, and again, trying to measure more or less the distance, the altitude, how high they are. So this is a little lower. Okay, so we go with this element that I'm not sure is there, but we are going to start working with this, and then we can move a little bit to the center. We will see, and we will see, and we are not afraid of, because I'm working with a pencil that is very hard, so it's going to be easy to erase the lines. Okay, so we see the distance probably is not the right one. We can move a little bit, okay, to the right. Doesn't matter. We erase, we erase that, and we draw again the same element a little bit to the right. Okay, so we go again. Center. Okay, the ellipse. We put together the lines. We already have that. Okay. Now we are just basically going to erase those lines that we draw. Okay, and we are going to start fixing also the lines, and we are going to start shading. Once we have these lines, we start working with pencil that is a little, probably a little darker. We are going to start working with a 4B. Okay, we are going to start with this element in the back. Okay, so fixing the lines first, correcting those that are not okay, and after that we start shading. We go to our other element, we erase that so we don't get confused, because we are going to have that also in front of us, and we go to our sphere now, or ball. Yeah. So, and I can see that it's probably a little bigger than what I did before. Okay, so this is the moment that we are going to correct, fix element. If you want to do something a little more prosaic, you can have a glass of wine, not to drink the wine, but just to put that as a help, and do this perfect circle. But we don't need that, and we see that this other element is still a little bit too far to the left. So we are going to, one more time, we are going to move this element a little bit to the right. We became experts on doing that, and I hope that you don't do at home right now the mistake that I did, but if so, it's part of learning. Okay, so now we are okay with drawing the background. Basically, we are not going to work on that right now. We are going to take care of the shading, and for that we have to be sure that the different levels of rate that we have, having in mind that the light here is coming from the left to the right. Okay, and that is something that you have to start, and I told you last class, you have to start seeing, okay, observing how the light touch the different elements. And so when you have for example, in this kind of element that you have the light coming from the left, so in the upper, what could be the lid of the element, so you have on the right, on the left part, a little darker, and then on the body the dark part is going to be on the right. So we start with the 4B, trying to create just a kind of gray. And what I'm doing here is what I'm going to repeat in every single of these elements. Okay, so we go over and over in this kind of circular, okay, ways of shading. Remember, we don't have to have lines, okay? So this is a kind of soft gray that we are creating, but just going on the same surface over and over, okay? Don't put a lot of pressure. Later we are going to change the pencil, and we are going to go to darker blacks or grays on the same element. So far we are working with 4B, just in case you want to know, and we are going to change to 6B, and later even 6B for now. 7B, that is the one that I'm decided to choose. Okay, but you can go to 6B and then to 7B. So you create a more a different layers of gray. As many for shading, as many variations of gray you have is even better. Okay, now we are going to go to the sphere, and we are going to do exactly the same. Go back to the 4B. Okay, and with the 4B we are going to in a way mark the elements, or the part of the element that has different kind of gray. So there is one area that we are not going to touch, and that is the lighter part. Okay, so we just start working with the 4B as soft as possible. Okay, we keep working on the shading. Okay, very good. See that not all these sphere has the same kind of gray. So we already have two different grades. So we go now. We just took the 7B, and we went over some of the areas that are in the dark part of this sphere. Okay, now we take the 4B and we start with our third element. Exactly the same thing that we have been working when we have been doing. Okay, so first we mark, okay, the part that is in gray, and then from there we go changing pencils from, you know, the lighter 4B to then the 6 to then the 7. The AB, we are not using the AB for this element. We are using the AB, and if you have the 9, just reserve that for the end of the drawing and for the shadows, the projected shadows that we have that anchor our elements to the ground. So for that we want the darkest black that we have. So now we go with 7B for the darker part of this cone that we have here. Now I think that we are going to go, okay, again for B with our cube here. Okay, so we concentrate on this. So what we have four different kind of grays. Okay, so we have one that is the one that is facing the light. Mostly you don't do anything with that. You have the upper part, okay, that we work with the 4B, but in the face of this square, of this cube, in this part I'm gonna change pencil. I'm working with the 4B. Now I'm gonna change to the another one. Okay, so changing with 6B, 6 or 7B, whatever you have, just another one that is a little darker. And we go on the top of that. Okay, very good. Okay, so this see that that particular corner is and particular part is a little darker. So you can go to those little effects. Okay, now we are going to go, okay, to these projected shadows. So you have to realize that the shadow is the projected shadow, the shadow that projects the element on the ground, is not dark all the time. So you have some areas that are dark and some areas that are closer to the element that are even darker. Okay, so we can use the 6B, and then finally we use the 8B for this part. Okay, so the shadow that touches our element, okay, this part of the shadow has to be the darkest. And see how immediately we darken that part, the element anchor on the ground. And we are going to repeat that, you know, in every single element, and you are going to see the transformation of these figures that are like floating in the space, and then they just go to the ground and anchor to the ground. So they have a weight. Okay, so we change our pencil. 8B or 9B we are using right now for this part of the projected shadow that touches our element. and see how it transforms. You know, in front of us, it transforms. It has suddenly it has a weight, and even the volume seems to be more realistic by contrast. Okay. Now we go with this shadow in the back. Again, change pencil. Okay, so we fix that little mistake. We erase that part, and we keep working. Okay, so we go for our last element now. Again, the miracle happened once we have this dark one. We have our elements. Good job. I hope you enjoy this class. Thank you.